Well, if you made it till this video, you must really like indices. Anyway, so we kept these for last. They're quite tricky. There's two ways of doing these, so I'll kind of switch between the two ways to just show that they are the same. Otherwise, I'm not going to do like both ways for each one. So let's start off with one. I think, yeah, it doesn't really matter which way I do it. The most important thing that you should know is I can't do this. That's a big no. You're going to make people cry if you do that. The reason for it is because there are two terms at the top and there's only one term at the bottom, and I can actually rewrite this as 5x over x squared minus 3 over x squared. So now you can cancel or reduce to 1 if you wanted to, because you know this is a term at the top and the term at the bottom. But if we wanted to do the indice rule, I'll do it all of them below, then it's a bit easier to understand. So maybe faster would be saying, okay, well, that x and this squared would cancel, and I'll be left with 5 over x at the bottom. But if it goes to the top, it becomes a negative 1. And then minus 3, which is the top, and this x squared is at the bottom. So there we go. The next one I'll do a bit differently just to show you that there is another way of looking at this. So number 2 can have negative 2x minus 5, and I'm going to bring the x cubed to the top, x cubed, but it's a negative because it's coming from the bottom. I could write it here as well, or I can write negative x to the power of negative 3 2x minus 5. Maybe you find that easier to see or to understand. But in any case, we still have this negative number that gets multiplied into both terms. So whether you do it the top way or the bottom way, it doesn't matter. But what I do know is that, well, a negative times a positive will give me a negative. The 1 times a 2 will give me the 2. There's going to be an x, and these I just add. So minus 3, and that's a 1, plus 1 will just be minus 2. And if I multiply the other one in, negative times a negative is a positive, and 5x to the power of negative 3. So I'll kind of switch between both methods, and then you can see which one you like more, but both work. Sometimes splitting it up reduces errors, but it's up to you. So 4x over x to the power of 4 plus 7 over x to the power of 4. And here I know that one is going to cancel, and there's going to be 3 left there. And I have 4x, this is a 3 underneath the line, so it becomes negative 3 at the top, plus 7x, 4 underneath becomes a negative 4. It's quite quicker this way. But yeah, like I said, I'll switch between the different ways to, you know, just show what we can do. So the x squared at the top, this time I'm gonna leave it as 2x squared minus 9x, and I'm gonna take this to the back. Again, I could put it in the front as well, doesn't matter, just mixing it up and showing that all of them would work the same way. The 2 times the 1 that it's not written there becomes a 2, and then I have 2 minus 2, which would just be 0, so they actually cancel each other out, and you can see the x squared and x squared, they would cancel each other out, obviously on this side of the fraction. And here I have a minus, and I can write the 9, and this is a 1 minus 2 would just be minus 1. And there you have it. Obviously, I'd say that the general idea of what we're doing here is we want to practice these things because we're moving into differentiation, and they're you can choose which way is easier for you to multiply these things out. Okay, so I'm gonna do this one the other way again. So I'm gonna write 2x over x squared, not squared, square root of x, and then plus the 1 over the square root of x. I can even rewrite this as x to the power of a half plus 1 over x to the power of a half. And then here it would be 1 minus a half, so this would become x to the power of a half plus 1x to the power negative a half. And obviously I keep that like this. These are not like terms. They look similar, but they're not. This is a positive and that's a negative, so they can't be added together. Okay, number 6. What am I going to do here? So I'll do 2x plus 3, and this all multiplied by, I'm going to do the square root of 4 to write just 2, and then that x is going to be, okay, and this is also going to be a negative 1. Yeah, I think that's probably the best, well, not the best way. I could write it like this, or I could write it as 2x plus 3, and that is a 2 underneath the line, so it's going to be times a half. Let me just make a little bracket to show that we're multiplying, and this would be x to the power of negative a half. So either or, 2 to the power of negative 1 or a half, whichever is easier for you to understand. But yeah, 2 times 2 to the power of negative 1 would just be 1, just like 2 times a half is just 1, so I can leave that. And now I have x, and this is a 1 minus a half is just going to be a half. And 3 times a half is, well, that's a plus, so that would be 3 halves. And this x is just being, it just stays like this. Okay, pretty simple. That was number 6. Let's go on to number 7. Number 7. Ooh, there's a lot going on here. It looks very intimidating, but I'm just going to separate them. So I'll do the cube root of x. I can write as x to the power of a third. And this is all over x power over root, which is x6 over 18. I doubt that you'll ever see that anywhere in a test or something, but it's just like for maybe to practice. And then a negative, and then 3x I'm going to keep as 3x, and this I'm going to keep as x 6 over 18. Now 6 over 18 can reduce to a third. So basically here I'm going to have x to the power of a third over x to the power of a third, which would just cancel out. And here I'll have 3x over x to the power of a third. So for the first one, obviously I can write it and be very neat and say, well, it's x to the power of a third times x to the power of negative a third. And I cancel these out. It'll be x to the power of 0, and then it'll just be 1. And here, the 3, here I'll have to write x to the power of, well, I don't have to write the 1, but I'll write it anyway. And there we go. And this reduces to 1, so I have to write the 1. It is important. And minus 3x, 1 minus a third would be just 2 thirds. Was that number 7? Okay, cool. 2 more, last 2. Write that down. So for number 8, what are we going to do here? Again, I think I'll do x to the power of a third. We know why, because it's a cube root. Ooh, that's interesting. That's multiplied. So I don't actually have to split it, because now I can actually just follow my normal indices rules. And this is all over x to the power of root, power over root. So it's not, can you see that's a 9? Maybe not. Oh, that's making it worse. 9 over 3. And because I'm multiplying, all the others I was adding and subtracting, and this one has a multiplication sign, so that makes it a lot easier. A third plus 2 thirds is just x to the power of 1. And that would reduce to x to the power of 3. And now it's just basically x 1 times x negative 3, which would be x to the power of negative 2. Or you would have seen that cancels. And I'm left with 1 over x squared, which is the same as 1 over x squared is the same as x to the power of negative 2. Okay, last one. Let's see, minus, am I going to split it? Let's not split it. Let's do it like this time. Let's do minus 2x to the power of negative, oh no, it's not 2, it's a half. Almost did that again. X to the power of negative half, all multiplied with 5x minus x to the power of a third. Let's just quickly check. So this was a 2, but that's actually part of a half. So that's the half, and that's x squared. So that's x to the power of a half, but it moves up, so it's x to the power of negative a half. And here we go, negative times positive is negative. A half times 5 is just 5 over 2. And I have x, and I have a 1 minus a half, so that would just be a half. And then negative times negative would give me a positive. A half times 1 is just a half. And then now I have x, but now I have negative a half plus a third. So can't really do that, but I can do, if we take it to 6, it's going to be 3 over 6 plus 2 over 3. Well, this is minus a half, so minus 3 plus 2. Last time I checked, that was minus 1. Okay, this should be a 6. 2 over 6 is a third. And yeah, that would be it. So final answer would be minus 5 over 2x to the power of a half plus a half x to the power of negative a sixth. Well done. If you made it all the way to here, you definitely deserve some bonus points in whatever exam you're writing for putting in all this extra effort looking at this video.